To a large extent, from a very young age, as women, we are conditioned to put the needs of everyone else before our own. This diversion of attention and energy leads to many of us feeling unfulfilled where our goals, desires, and needs are concerned. Today on High Tea with Nomi, I chat to best-selling author and self-proclaimed liberator of women to unpack getting out of this cycle. So I invited you on High Tea, firstly because you just wrote the most amazing book. How did everybody receive your title?
I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. I'm assuming, so for starters, if you're going to be offended by the title of the book, the stuff that's inside is going to be a problem.
It's going to offend you worse.
Yeah, so it's a good filter. So if that's not a book you're going to read because of the title, then it wasn't for you in the first place. So it's a nice way to
get rid of the riffraff.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted you to come through was not really about your book. It was because we are getting into a new space right now as women, where the veil is literally being pulled back. And a lot of us are finding ourselves confused or trapped or not knowing what to do in order to get onto the path that we believe that we should be on. Can we talk about that, about people who find themselves at a particular point in their lives currently and they don't even know where to start? Because as much as there's a lot of information, there's also a lot of misinformation.
So if I had to pick one message, I would say develop your intuition. And if you can generate confidence in your knowingness, because you have it. We all know what's right and what's wrong for us. But the only way that you'll figure out what works for you is if you have that sense of, this is for me, this is not for me. Because often people will decide that something is gospel, they decide that someone's a guru, and then they say, I did everything that you said, and it didn't work.
It still didn't work out.
Yeah. And it's not like whatever the person said is wrong. It worked for them, it worked for 20, 200, 200,000 other people, but perhaps it's not for you. And you know what? There's something appealing about making somebody else your boss.
Yes.
Because if it goes wrong,
you can blame somebody.
You can blame them.
And it's very easy.
Yeah, I voted for you, I believed in you, I trusted you. Everybody else is an expert in our life about everything.
In our lives, except for ourselves.
Yes. And then when it breaks, you don't even know where to start rebuilding it because you have literally outsourced all of your life.
But on that very point, Kagiso, you're saying people should build their intuition and they should trust it. But our intuition is broken. So how do I rebuild this intuition? Because the last time I followed my intuition, I made some very, very bad choices, in my opinion, and I messed up my life.
So let me just clarify something. Your intuition doesn't save you from life, right?
Okay.
So let me say that there's guy number one and guy number two, and you check with your intuition, and intuition says guy number one. And then you get into this relationship and you hook up for 4 years, you have children, and you get a divorce. People tend to think because it didn't work out the way I wanted to, my intuition was wrong. Life has challenges, it's got ups and downs, there's stuff that you're supposed to learn from it. There's karmic issues, there's the whole process of life is that you come against challenges, you figure stuff about yourself, you figure stuff about life. But your intuition gets you on the right path for you. It doesn't save you from the drama of life.
What do you mean by right path for me? Isn't the right path for me supposed to be where I seamlessly become successful and a millionaire and I win the lotto?
Let's just talk about happiness very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Most of us are chasing happiness and we've got this idea that life is working when I'm happy.
Yes.
And I like to make a distinction between being happy and being fulfilled or / joyful, which is not the same thing. I can have a fulfilling life and then somebody calls me and says, my mother has passed away or she's got cancer or whatever. And I will be unhappy because I just lost my mother, but I'm not fulfilled anymore. And the reason I'm making that example with something like a death is that you can be fulfilled in your life and also say something really crappy has happened in my life, you know? And how you know you're on your path is when you feel fulfilled, not always happy. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. But when you get away from the fulfillment, that's when you know it's problematic. So I suppose where I'm getting at is that you need to be curious.
Yeah.
You need to go and try a whole bunch of things. Not all of them are going to work for you. Not all of them are going to be suitable for you. So I'll probably at some point say to people, buy my book. Yes, buy my book, but buy that other one too. Go talk to your grandmother, watch this thing, figure this thing out, go sit by a mountain for 3 days and think about your life, you know, and that way you will start becoming equipped to deal with life, not only to deal with it, but to start building the kind of life that makes sense to you.
A lot of people, I found, don't really know the type of life they want to live because there's a lot of influence from outside, from our families, from our parents, from TV and everything. How can people start finding out what type of life they want to live?
So what I usually say to my clients is that until you can locate yourself in the noise, cut off media as much as you can.
Always.
You know? Don't watch TV, don't listen to the news.
Get off
social
Facebook.
media. Exactly, you know. And it's scary when you say it's not forever.
Yeah.
It's just long enough for you to be able to differentiate between what is something that is genuinely bubbling up from out inside of you out and what you've been told you should want.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we do have desires and we do have tastes and preferences. And if you just quiet down the noise, you find yourself, and you are asking, you're saying people's intuition is broken. It's not broken, it's just that it's so loud around you that you can't even hear yourself.
Yeah.
So that's usually the first thing that I say is cut out media for a while, all of it, and just notice what you're inclined to do. And every now and then I get to people who say, you know, I don't know what I like, blah, 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 blah. And then I say, go adventuring. Yeah. So usually I recommend a yes month. So the whole point of a yes month is that you pick a month and you decide that for that month you say yes.
But you can't say yes if you don't know, if you don't believe that a greater power is going to catch you.
Yeah, but it's a good thing that
because you
say
have
that.
To believe
you
that.
You have to start with a greater power of some sort, whether you believe in God or your ancestors or whatever. So you need to set it up up front.
Yeah.
A day, week, month, however, I don't know how big your trust issues are. Long enough for you to say to this higher power, listen up, for the month of Feb, every opportunity that comes my way, I'm going to say yes to.
Yes.
So make it safe, even if it doesn't end up taking me to the pot of gold, just make sure that I don't end up in a dangerous place. Yes. So you set it up, and then when the time comes, if I say to you, come with me to a poetry thing, and you're not into poetry, you say yes. You know, your neighbor has been harassing you to go horse riding with them forever, you say yes. And when you do that, two things happen. The first one is that you find out new things. Okay, I like this, I don't like this, you know, or you go there and you find people you like or whatever. And the other thing that it does is that it helps you trust in a path, in a bigger thing. And more so with women. More often than not, when women are broken, it's from relationships.
Yes.
Not necessarily, it's not always romantic.
It's not.
Maybe it's your mother who bullies you or whatever, but it's relationships. So our boundaries are not great. So you do have to teach them to say no. I will not do this, I will not put up with this. But often people don't get past the education that after the no,
there's a yes.
There's a yes.
Yes.
So in a way, no puts a brake on life, but yes is what gets it moving. And often people will do that work of saying, no, I'm worth more than this, I don't want this. And then they sit and they're really lonely.
Yes.
You know, for a week, for a month, for a year.
Yeah.
And then they get confused like that. I went to all the trouble, you know, I did this.
And I'm still not fulfilled.
Yeah, where are my cookies?
Yes.
You know, I'm supposed to, and they don't understand that it's a balance. There's the one part of where you getting rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you, figuring out where your boundaries are. But then you have to start yesing life.
After that. It's so strange that your analogy also falls into consent, and we're speaking specifically with sexual consent and the issues that we're having currently with rape and so on and so on. Speaking to a lot of young men, they say that they get so confused with girls because the girls are going to say no to sex, for example, and then the boys will say, then I have to step away. And then the girl said, but you didn't push harder. Because the girls were not taught that you can say yes. All they were taught at home is a no. So nobody said, you can say yes if that's what you want. And if it's something you don't want, you say no.
Yeah.
So the boys are just like, but girls always say no. So we don't know if their no is a yes and if their yes is actually a no.
Yeah, but that one, I wish you hadn't brought that up.
Why?
Because now we're going down this weird...
No, but it's the truth.
But there's also that thing, right, where as a girl, I'm not a girl anymore, but as a girl, you're told to play hard to get, right? So even if you want to say yes, you say no, and then stop, see if he's catching you, you know?
Yes.
Play hard to get, and then we're teaching boys about consent, and then you must take the first no that you get and respect it, which is correct. But where do these two meet? Where do these two things meet?
Where?
I don't have an answer for that, but it always, like every time I see all the consent stuff, I endorse it, but I always think that, are we having the other conversation? Where are we with the hard to get story?
As a mother to a teenage boy, I know that his generation of boys is struggling with that whole concept because we are telling our boy children when a girl says no, it's a no. But then the girls are the same ones. Obviously, we hear the conversations on the phone or whatever, and this guy is now heartbroken because the girl is like, you didn't chase. But I taught him that when she says no, it's no. And she's like, but you didn't chase me.
These are such mixed messages, you know, like, and I say, I don't have an answer to this, but I think we've siloed the development of boys and girls so much that nobody's going to the other room to check what is being said. It's sort of like we overcorrect. So the pendulum goes to one extreme and then we go to the other
instead
extreme.
of just being here.
Yeah, instead of finding that balance, because more and more, there are more women who are primary breadwinners.
Yes.
Because there've been so much effort, and it was needed at the time to empower women, make sure that they get the bursaries, they get the promotions and all of those things. And that has happened, right? It has happened.
But it has left our men behind.
Yeah, and besides all of that, as we were doing this to open up more economic opportunities for women, nobody stopped to think, to talk to men about how to be a stay-at-home dad, how to still feel like you are a man even if your woman makes more money than you.
How to not feel emasculated.
How to not feel emasculated.
Because she,
Yes, you know, nobody's had that conversation. And even with us, nobody's had the conversation that if you don't value a man, I remember there's a saying, and I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's something, something along the lines that, right? And so when I can provide for myself and I'm really good at it,
why do I need a man?
Yeah, what am I looking for now? Nobody taught us what else we're supposed to value in men. We keep on zooming in on one thing without looking at how the one thing affects everything else.
Obviously, in order for you to heal society, you need to heal yourself first.
Yes, yeah.
Do you feel that we understand that enough?
No, I don't think so, because it's not what we're taught at all. We've been taught that everything that's making you uncomfortable comes from outside of you, right? And often it's not even about fixing that thing. It's about convincing that thing to change itself.
Yeah.
And mainly it's about throwing tantrums, manipulating people if it's people, guilt trips, and whatever. And I've never seen that work, at least in the long term. The ability of pain to change anything is really short term.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you can show someone how something benefits them, it takes longer.
Yes.
But the results stick for longer. So we're inclined to use pain, right?
Yes.
And then it sort of works for a little bit, and then it stops.
Yeah.
And often what we assume is that, okay, if this much pain worked for 2 weeks,
This much
more pain
it's gonna work
for a
longer.
month,
Yeah.
and even more pain
Yeah.
if I sue him, then, you know, if I do this, whatever. So instead of thinking that the pain doesn't quite work, we think I haven't put enough of it. I've so often been in situations where 4 people with me in the room, somebody comes, does something, and all 4 of us have a different opinion of what happened and how we felt about it.
Yeah.
But it never crosses people's minds that that person, they did what they did, but the reason we 4 of us have different experiences is because of who we are. And often, and I mean, when you have these conversations, there's always some person who'll come like, yeah, but how do you change your perception about rape or abuse or whatever? It's not that.
That is
right?
a big one.
And even in those situations where you are being abused and those kinds of things, I don't know anyone personally. I don't know anyone anyone can get punched once or twice, but I don't know anybody who stayed in an abusive relationship who only stayed in one. It tends to be a pattern.
Yeah.
It might be an escalating pattern. So the first guy was verbally abusive and who do you think you are and you can't have this or whatever. And then the next one wasn't actually beating you up, but he was cheating in your face, which is levels of abuse. And then the next one hits you. And there is something that you can do about that by looking in first.
Because there must be something in you that is attracting that kind of...
That
or
makes
allows.
space.
Yes.
That makes space for it.
Yeah.
You know, whereas some other girl right next to you would have called it much sooner, you know?
Wouldn't that be seen as victim blaming?
Possibly. And I'm off Twitter, so they can drag me, I won't know. Right? I'm not blaming anyone for being punched, right? However, being a victim, if that's a complete sentence, is not going to save you from the next punch, right? So at some point, you need to own something about the situation if you're going to be able to change something about it. I think one of the problems that we have in society is that we're very binary, black and white, 0 and 1, you know, and you can be in both boxes. I'm being victimized, and there is some power, some responsibility that I can take. It doesn't have to be either or.
Could 2020 have been a year where it gives us the opportunity to rechart our way?
I think so. So I feel like the lockdowns, it gave us a chance to reflect on our own little paths.
Yeah.
And I think when we come out, like we're out now, and when we come out again or whatever, then that's the chance to go and speak to other people and say, this is what I figured out, this is what I think is going on, this is where we're going wrong, what do you think? And in order to do that, we have to grow up.
Yeah.
And also not be so touched by people not agreeing with us.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to open up a bit more space of hearing people, trying to see their point of view, even if after the whole conversation is done, you're still where you're supposed to be. But I think we spend so much time trying to get people to our side of the argument. It's not a debate, guys. It's life, you know? And we need to stop making our preferences judgments. There's a difference between a preference and a judgment. If I prefer to be a housewife and you prefer to be a boss lady, it is what it is. But as soon as you judge me, like I went to varsity with her and she has a degree in what, and she's wasting her time baking cookies, now you're making your preference a judgment, you know? Anytime somebody veers off the path, we literally bludgeon them down.
Yes.
We hit them so hard that you never get to discover, explore, understand,
or
and
just
make space for other people.
Or just see the other side of the coin.
But even sadder for me is that we attack each other, we harass each other because we want everybody to be homogenous, but we want them to come to our side.
They must be us.
Yes.
Whoever's going to be reading these 3 books of yours, what would you feel, what would you say the takeout point is from all of them?
You know, it's a hard one. I know this is not a popular answer, but I don't write books for other people. It's a horrible thing to say when you're trying to sell them because everybody wants to say,
Are you even trying to sell your book?
No, not really. I write them because I write them, right? But the fact that you're doing you doesn't mean that there's no benefit for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that if I try and go back in my brain and say, if there's a unifying theme that hasn't changed, is about taking responsibility for your life. It still goes back to that, right? Growing up, being an adult, owning your life and understanding that nobody owes you health, nobody owes you wealth, nobody owes you happiness. You know, you should get rid of people who take away from all of that in your life, but it's nobody else's job. If you are able-bodied and above 20, I suppose I'm pulling this out of there, but you're a grown-as person.
Yeah.
And you've got a mind that works and a body that works. Your life will start working when you understand that nobody cares about your well-being nearly as much as you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we get tripped up because when you're new, people do, there's an actual built-in response that we want to make your life easy.
Yeah.
But as you grow older, at some point, people stop caring. And not that I don't care that you're miserable, Nontlante. And I'll sit, we'll cry, we'll finish way too many bottles of wine, and then I'm going to go home.
And live your life.
And live my life.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and often we don't get that.
Yeah.
We need to stop thinking other people care about our well-being more than we do. And if you can do that one thing, as soon as you own it, you get the incentive to figure out how to fix your own life. Yes.
Thank you.
Can I have another guinya?
You can have all the guinyas.
guinyas. I'm taking the guinyas.
All the maguinyas. You can take them home.
Precious.
Thank you so much for joining me, Kagiso. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on High Tea with Noni. I hope to see you next time. Please remember to go fetch your life. High Tea with Noni, in association with Kericho Gold Tea, supplied by Love Tea Time.